Hey, what is going on, guys? DK back at you with another video here to break down the 10-game NBA slate on Wednesday. I don't know about you guys, but we've had a lot of really good-sized slates the last couple of weeks. 10 is usually on the high end for me, but still, it seems like we're having like 6 to 8 game slates every single day, which I really like. So hopefully, I don't even look at the schedule, but hopefully this continues going to end the regular season. But yeah, before we talk about this slate, let's recap last night, or tonight, I should say. So going over my lineup here, I'll get out of the way so you guys can see. But yeah, so I ate the chalk with the Hawks with Trae Young, AJ Griffin, and Bogdanovic. I was actually really surprised they started Bogdanovic because we have seen throughout the year if one of Trae Young or DeJounte Murray miss, they usually go to like Aaron Holiday or AJ Griffin. So I was shocked that Bogdanovic started. I was going to play him either way, but I just was not expecting him to start. Griffin was fine. Can we talk about the Keita Bates-Diop first half minutes for Bates-Diop? Gregory Popovich, man. Gregory Popovich. You mean to tell me Bates-Diop, when there's only one or two guys out for the Spurs and he starts, he's playing 30 to 35 minutes a night? Literally half the team out? 9 first half minutes. Okay, sure, right? What are we doing here? How do the Bates-Diop faders know? How do they know? Now, obviously, I knew the blowout risk. How do they know the first half minutes he would play a season low, right? That's interesting. Porzingis had a really solid game of low ownership. I ate the chalk of Mamukelashvili. And then there's a couple other things that really tilted me. How did the JV people know that he would play the whole fourth quarter in a 50-point blowout, right? Why can't I run good like that? It's literally a 50-point game in the fourth quarter, and JV plays almost the entire fourth at elevated ownership and absolutely smashes. If I had Jonas Valanciunas, no way. Right? It's Hernan Gomez or Jackson Hayes out there. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? But JV in competitive games a couple weeks ago, we're playing him 10 to 15 minutes. A game that's a massive blowout? Let him play the whole fourth quarter. How? Have the Kings, right? No one played the Kings, and I mean no one. I have Keegan Murray. Sabonis at 3% is absolutely smashing, on pace to break the slate. Random, massive blowout. And yes, it is random. 5-point spread, it is random. The only way that anyone can comment that it's not random is show me the ticket. Those are the rules. Show me your ticket. No ticket, it's random. A 5-point spread. I don't want anyone telling me that's not random. It was a random, massive blowout. But, again, the Kings, it's a 20-point game with 6 minutes to go. They waved the white flag. But JV, literally up by 40, plays the whole fourth quarter. I can't get a little bit more run for Sabonis? That's what I'm talking about. No one runs worse. Sabonis was smashing. And I get punished with a massive blowout. I know you guys missed the tilt, so here you go. Right? I'm a little bit mad. I'm a little bit upset right now. Still had a great day overall. Still profited in DFS. Had a great day in Prize Picks as well. Went 4-2, but yeah, the JV thing playing the whole fourth. The Kings getting waving the white flag so incredibly early. Bates-Diop 9 first half minutes. It just come on. Another guy that I really liked that I didn't end up getting to, I was trying to get him, was Marvin Bagley. We talked about it in the Patreon stream. I loved him at his ownership. I just couldn't find a way because I really wanted to prioritize Porzingis and Sabonis, and obviously I was not going to fade Trae Young, so it was tough for me to make it work to get Marvin Bagley in there. So I didn't end up doing it, but he smashed, and a few people, let's see if I have it up. A few people played him. First place, I believe, 12% Bagley won for 54 fantasy points. We had a lot of big winners tonight. Another, $3,000 win, Marvin Bagley, again at 9%. So, yeah, a lot of people had great days. I love to see that. But, yeah, so that's the recap there for myself. Again, Prize Picks, it was a good day for me as well. If you guys are a first-time user of Prize Picks, make sure to use the code DKDFS for 100% match up to $100. I have a link down below as well. And if you're looking for premium content for DFS or Prize Picks, you can find that in the description below. But yeah, hey, we move on to day 3 of the ladder challenge. Porzingis, Sabonis, I was going to be so mad if I would have got screwed by the random massive blowout. Sabonis went over by 1, easily on pace to go over. It gets pulled with 6 minutes to go. If he would have went under that, I would have been so incredibly mad. But yeah, we're moving on to day 3 of the ladder challenge. And again, had a profitable day overall with Taco Tuesday. The only 2 props I missed were Bates Diop fantasy score. He missed like a couple. Massive blowout, which obviously that was not random. I knew that was a possibility. But the first half minutes for Bates Diop, you can't do that. And then the only other one I missed, I had Marvin Bagley rebounds, 8.5 rebounds. He plays 41 minutes and hooks me for 8 rebounds. How do you not go over 8.5 rebounds in 41 minutes? That's what I want to know. Like, I think I could go over 8.5 rebounds. I could fall into some rebounds. But yeah, so that's the recap of everything, guys. And let's move on to this 10-game slate. So we'll start off with Denver. Good matchup here against Washington Wizards. I like Jokic. I like Jamal Murray. If the game stays competitive, you're going to see 36 to 38 minutes for both these guys. So I think both are a little bit too cheap. Gordon, MPJ are both reasonable plays. These guys can have ceiling games when they're fully healthy, but it's a little bit less likely. KCP is always just the 3-and-D guy. That's like a filler play. If he knocks down a shot like he did 3 games ago, he can have a good game. But a lot of the time, he's hovering that 15 to 20 fantasy point range. I don't know if I get to anyone else. Bruce Brown's 4-4. Play mid-20s minutes. I guess he's fine. I'm not going to mess with likes like Reggie or Jeff Green or Christian Brown. So let's move on to Washington. I don't think Kuzma is going to be available. From what I read, it's a pretty significant ankle sprain. They were shocked he could play through it on Saturday, and there's a lot of swelling. So back-to-back, I don't think he plays. If that is the case, then once again, I like the ceiling quite a bit in Porzingis and Beal. Beal fouled out last game, which if you played Beal, you got very, very unlucky. But their ceiling goes way up with Kuzma off the court. And then you just get more run for guys like Kispert and Gafford and Denny. Against Nikola Jokic, they probably do play Gafford a bit more. You probably will still get some Porzingis minutes at the 5, but I would think that Gafford might play a little bit more against Nikola Jokic. Maybe they'll dust off, Taj Gibson or something. But, if Kuzma's out again, Denny, Kispert. I think you can make the argument for Monte Morris. I'm pretty sure, he had a pretty good game. It's also a revenge game against his former team. He's reasonable at this price point. New York and Miami, so pretty ugly game here. Not a ton that stands out. For the Knicks, the positive is Randall and Brunson are going to play a ton. I think Brunson's a little bit too cheap even for the bad matchup, but kind of tough for me to go to either of them. I'm not going to go to Quickly or Hart or Barrett. Mitchell Robinson, Hartenstein are splitting the center minutes. They're both just fine tournament plays. So not a ton on the Knicks side. Kind of the same thing for Miami. We'll keep an eye on the status of Martin and Lowry. If Martin's out, maybe get a couple more minutes for guys like Love and Strus. If Lowry's out, I think Oladipo and Gabe Vincent would benefit a bit. But as far as the top end guys go, Jimmy, Bam, and Hero, I think they're all playable. I wouldn't call any of these guys priorities. Jimmy's played extremely well of late. Bam and Adebayo sub 8K. He's gone for 40 plus the last 3. And Tyler Hero, the cheapest of the bunch, probably plays mid 30s minutes and does have the shooting guard eligibility. So I think I have interest in all 3 of those guys. If Martin and Lowry are in, I don't think I'm going to get to the secondary guys. If they're both out, then again, Strus, Love, Oladipo, Vincent become playable. Indiana and Toronto. The big news we're waiting for is Haliburton. He's questionable. Also, Chris Duarte is, I believe, questionable too. If they're both in, I don't think there's anything I'm really looking to. If Haliburton and Duarte are both out, then I think, McConnell off the bench in 25 to 30 minutes becomes an interesting option. I think, Turner, Heald, Mathurin, basically all the main guys are playable tournament options, but there would be no standouts for me. Mathurin started last game and played, 30 minutes. He's got the shooting guard, small forward eligibility. If he starts again, sure, I'm fine with it. But we're on to Toronto. So Toronto, we got Scotty Barnes is questionable. I don't think he's going to play. He didn't go through practice. So my guess is that we're going to get Gary Trent Jr. in the starting lineup. I was talking about this a little bit earlier. I don't know why I completely forgot about Gary Trent Jr., but I was trying to think all right, who is Scotty Barnes? Who's let's just throw Gary Trent. Let's just assume he was out and Scotty Barnes was going to miss. I was trying to figure out who the starter was going to be. It literally could have been 10 guys. It could have been Boucher or Achua or Barton or Thad Young. I was oh wait, they have Gary Trent Jr. What am I thinking? So I assume Gary Trent Jr. is going to start. If that's the case, he's probably going to become one of the more popular plays in the mid-range on the slate. I would assume he would play mid-30s minutes if that is the case. And if he knocks down his shots, clearly has the ceiling. As far as the top-end guys go, Siakam, Van Fleet, they should play close to 40 minutes. They're both reasonably priced. I think they're solid options. Van Fleet's been playing pretty well of late. Jakob Poeltl, 6.9. He should play around 30 minutes. He still has a ceiling. So, and even OG Anunoby would look a little bit better if Scotty Barnes is out. So this team does look relatively appealing if Barnes is out. If Barnes is in, I think it's just the main guys to look to. And then, you probably get a little bit of a minutes bump for guys like Boucher, Achua, Barton off the bench. I think my favorite of those would be my boy Boucher, who's just the best point per minute. But Achua, Barton, probably a little bit more too if Scotty Barnes does not play. Golden State and Dallas. So you got Draymond probable, Looney probable, Steph Curry 9-7. I always like his ceiling in tournaments. Does feel a little bit underpriced, but probably won't be super popular. I don't know if I get to Clay or Poole. I think Draymond is always a fine filler play for me. Probably won't kill you, but hasn't really shown that big upside. The minutes have been down a bit on DiVincenzo. I don't think I'm going to get to Looney or Kuminga. So I would say mainly just Steph and Draymond. I mean, I guess Clay can always have those pop-off games. He makes his shots, but it's just a matter of will he make a shot. So I guess, yes, you can consider Klay Thompson at 7K. For Dallas, so we got Luka and Kyrie both questionable. I know Kyrie aggravated his injury. So I don't know if he'll be available. Luka's also been out for a while. So if they're both in, there's really nothing I like. I assume Luka would be on some sort of a limit, and then I wouldn't play Kyrie if Luka's there at 10K. If Luka's out, Kyrie plays. I like Kyrie. If Kyrie's out and Luka plays and it's not on a limit, then you can make the argument for Luka. If they're both out, then we get a situation where, Hardy and Josh Green become really good plays, sub 5K. Hardy would most likely start at the point, most likely play big minutes. Green will get a massive usage bump and probably play, mid to high 30s minutes. Tim Hardaway Jr. would look better. Christian Wood, also, his minutes have been way up of late. 28, 34, 29. If he continues to play around 30 minutes a game, I still think he's certainly playable at this price point. My only concern is, will the minutes continue to be there for him? I'm not so sure. So there's always that risk. And then guys like Reggie Bullock and Kleba and even McKinley Wright could be viable options if both Luka and Kyrie are out. Philadelphia and Chicago. So we got to keep an eye on James Harden news. He's questionable. If he misses, then obviously Embiid looks better at the top. And then, Maxey and Melton and Harris all look a lot better. Shake Milton would be viable off the bench. So there'd be a good amount to like here if Harden is out. If Harden's in, I think it would just be Embiid and Harden for me. But yeah, if Harden's out, I think my favorite play probably would be a 6.9K Maxey, who should play close to 40 minutes. Be the guy that, kind of is the go-to guy with Embiid on offense. But you get a usage bump for Harris, a minutes and usage bump for DeAnthony Melton. You get Shake Milton probably playing low to mid 20s minutes on the bench 2 games ago. Last couple games, 26, 28 minutes. Again, those were in blowouts though. So those guys all look better. If Tucker's out, we've been getting Danuel House starting, but I'm not going to go there. I think the only way, or the only wing I would play if Tucker's out would be McDaniels if he starts. But I'll probably stay away from those guys. For Chicago, so here's the positive for Chicago. They're playing their main guys a ton of minutes. Like in competitive games, you're getting close to 40 minutes from DeRozan and Levine and Vucevic. There is some foul risk for Vuce, but he has played well against Embiid. DeRozan and Levine should play a ton of minutes. The Bulls are playing a bit better of late. So I have interest in all three. Again, though, the tough part is trying to figure out who it's going to be that is a really big game. Pat Beverly also playing pretty big minutes. I expect him to play, 25 to 30. I think he's a reasonable value play. He'll look a little bit better if Caruso's out. Caruso's questionable. If Caruso misses, he'll get more solidified minutes for guys like Pat Williams and Kobe White. Pat Williams, 33, 32 minutes last couple games. Kobe White has been playing, high 20s minutes. So those guys would be viable options if there's no Caruso. Houston and Memphis. So no Jayshawn Tate for Houston. I will continue to mention this. They're running a really, really tight rotation. They're playing their main guys a ton. So I once again like the Rockets a lot for tournaments. KPJ, Jalen Green, Şengün. These guys all have a ceiling. KPJ and Green should play close to 40 minutes if the game can stay competitive. Şengün minutes, but a little bit more up in the air, but he'll be very productive when he's on the court. And then Jabari Smith, I probably won't get to with Şengün in. He's a guy I always like to prioritize when Şengün is out and he plays the 5. Tari Eason moving back to the bench at 6'1" feels a bit too pricey for me. And then KJ Martin 5'2". He'll see low 30s minutes. He's always just like a fine filler play for me. I don't know if I get to anyone else. Christopher probably plays a little bit more without Jayshawn Tate. He played 22 minutes last game. So, I guess if I had to pick someone off the bench, probably would be a 3.4K Christopher, but I don't think it's necessary to go there. For Memphis, so this is a little bit tricky to talk about. We got John Morant expected to be back, but we don't know. I don't think he's going to play normal minutes. He said he might even come back off the bench. So, for me, I'm probably staying away from Bane and Tyus Jones at elevated price points. Jaren Jackson, I think, would still be playable. He's been getting minutes at the 5. He got massive foul trouble, which again is not a surprise because that is always possible, Jaren Jackson Jr. But if he stays out of foul trouble, he's been playing mid-30s minutes. I would say Jaren Jackson would probably be my favorite option. Tillman's fine. Aldama smashed last game, which I was really tilted about because I had him originally in and was hoping that Jaren Jackson Jr. wouldn't play. Of course, Jaren Jackson Jr. gets ruled in. I pivot off Aldama to Fontecchio, and Jaren Jackson gets a massive foul trouble, and Aldama goes for 50. So it's like, that's just great. That is just great. But with Dylan Brooks out, though, so I don't know who they're going to start. I mean, they could go Roddy, they could go Conchar, they could go Kennard. So I guess whoever starts for Dylan Brooks is going to look relatively appealing. So I don't think they'll go like Ja, Jones, Bane backcourt. I don't think they'll do that. So I think we'll probably see one of like Roddy or Conchar or Kennard start. So whoever it is that starts for Brooks, I think would be a solid value play. San Antonio, Milwaukee, I mean, who knows, right? It's just impossible to talk about. We're probably going to need a completely different team playing. The Spurs are just doing. They're just resting a lot of guys one night and then like the other half the other night. So I don't know. I mean, if all these guys are out again, then yes, we could start looking to guys like Mamouklashvili and, Blake Wesley or Bates Diop, even though he didn't play a ton, McDermott. But it's impossible to talk about. It's literally impossible. If they're all healthy, then there's not really anything I would go to. But I'd be pretty surprised if everyone plays here for the Spurs. So they're just like really just. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Like, it's just impossible to say. For Milwaukee, there's massive blowout risk here. I like the ceiling on Giannis if you think the Spurs can somehow keep the game competitive, but there's really nothing else. I don't think I get to Middleton or Drew or Portis or Lopez. Crowder's out, but I still don't know if I'd get to like Ingles or Allen or Connaughton. So pretty easy team to talk about. Atlanta, Minnesota. This one comes down to the status of DeJounte Murray. If Murray's in, I think, the main guys are playable for tournaments. There would be no priorities. If Murray's out, then I really like Trae Young and 9-4, who should play, low to mid 30s minutes, become their clear go-to guy. And then you get Bogdanovich usage bump, DeAndre Hunter usage bump, more minutes for guys like Bay and Griffin. Capella and Okongwu maybe look slightly better. So there'd be a good amount to like here if DeJounte Murray is out. But if he's in, I think just a lot of tournament plays for me. For Minnesota, also kind of tricky to talk about because you have Ant questionable, and now you got Karl Anthony Towns questionable. If they're both in, I'll probably just stay away from this team. If they're both out, then, I like the main guys here. Conley, Slow-Mo. I mentioned these guys last night in Patreon, how I just thought they were going to be under-owned. I really like them in tournaments. Conley went for 50+. You saw a pretty big game from Gobert, who played 37 minutes. Slow-Mo, McDaniels, Prince all look better. Obviously, Prince had just the absolute ceiling game going 12 of 13. He would still be playable if he starts. Noel played 20 minutes in his first game back, and that was a little bit more than I expected. He would even be a viable option. So there'd be a good amount to like here if Cat and Anthony Edwards are out. If they're both in, I don't think I'm going to get to anyone. Portland and Utah. So we had no Grant, no Simons. We don't know the status of Nasir Little. So I assume the starting lineup is going to be Dame, Reddish, Thibault, Watford, Nurkic. I guess if Little's available, they could go like Little over Watford, but I like the ceiling quite a bit on a 10.5K Dame going up against the Jazz. My boy Nurkic, if they don't troll his minutes and he plays close to 30 minutes, clearly has a ceiling. We saw him go for 50 last slate. Watford, I think I would like him better if he starts. If he comes off the bench, he'd still be playable. His minutes have been way up of late. Reddish and Thibault were both not great last game, but you should get Reddish starting, playing 30+ minutes. I like him for value. His ownership might be a little bit lower than it should be based on recency bias. And then Matisse Thibault will also play a bit more too. So there'd actually be a good amount to like here. I think you could even make the argument for like Eubanks or Sharp or Little off the bench. So actually a good amount to like here for Portland. On the Utah side, comes down to the status of Lauri Markkanen, and it sounds like he's going to play. He went through practice today, so I assume he'll be available. If that's the case, then I think it would mainly just be Lauri I'd look to, because a lot of these guys are priced up from when Lauri was out last game. But if Lauri's out, then I think you can start making the argument still for like Olynyk and THT and Kessler. Again, if THT didn't get massive foul trouble last game, he would have played like 30-ish minutes. Abachi 5K. I would only consider him if there's no Markkanen. So if Markkanen's in, I think it's basically just him. If Markkanen's out, then we can start looking to some of these secondary plays. And finally, Phoenix and the Lakers. So no KD, no DeAndre Ayton. I like the ceiling on Booker and Paul a good amount here. I expect Booker to play, high 30s minutes in a good matchup. Chris Paul should play low to mid 30s minutes, be productive when he's on the court. So I like both the main guys here for Phoenix in a good matchup. And then you should get Biyombo and Landale splitting the center position. Last game, Biyombo started, played 20 minutes. Landale came off the bench, played 15, so they didn't play the full 48 combined, but they ran a weird rotation where I think you would probably see close to 48 minutes for both Landale and Biyombo. So they look good as far as value goes. Okogie, Craig, Shamet, they're reasonable. Wouldn't call them priorities. Campaign will back up Chris Paul, play whatever he doesn't play. So that is the Suns. And finally, the Lakers. Anthony Davis, 10-4. He's been really quiet last couple games, but you would think this is the get-right spot going up against this Phoenix Suns front court without DeAndre Ayton. So I like him for tournaments. I think there's no one else that really stands out. I mean, I'll mention Austin Reeves, who's been playing phenomenal of late, but 6.4K coming off the bench. It feels like a lot. D'Lo has had a couple of good games with Anthony Davis in, more of a tournament play. I don't know if I'm going to get to Vanderbilt or Schroeder or Beasley, Troy Brown. I mean, Beasley, if he knocks down his shots, can get there, but he has really struggled with the shot of late. So, that's going to do it for the Lakers, and that's going to wrap it up for the video as well. So, again, guys, if you do enjoy the DFS content, just make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep an eye out for the prize picks video up after this. The ladder challenge day 3 tomorrow. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for that. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.